Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 235 Spoilers. And if you like JJK and other anime content, subscribe for more. So we are back to Gojo vs Sukuna after no break. And just like the last few chapters, this one is excellent. And I'm going to cut to the meat and potatoes of this chapter because the big takeaway here is that Mahoraga got evaporated. Jujutsu Jesus with the Eyes of Horus Reborn has completely annihilated the last of the giant Shikigami. But besides that, the majority of this chapter was Sukuna sweating and Gojo throwing hands, and the animation for this one day is going to look wild. And I'm going to give kind of a hot take here in that usually JJK's artwork isn't incredible. It kind of looks like you're watching a storyboard for a fight. But this week, you can definitely tell JJK went out of their way to make this chapter in particular look amazing. So we open up with the narrator saying that Gojo's intensity is increasing because he has hit 2 black flashes. And Ryomen Sukuna is nervous for the first time in 1,000 years. And Gojo lands another black flash on Mahoraga and tries to jump Sukuna and tosses him into his own Shikigami. They tumbled through the window before once again Gojo uses black flash that Mahoraga intercepts. And man, you have to say, tanking multiple black flashes from Gojo, Mahoraga is a beast. I mean, you know, not that tanky, as we'll see later, but tanky enough. Gojo starts to chant, and Sukuna expects it's going to be a red reversal, which I really like the idea of them chanting to bring these things back, because it really brings a more supernatural aspect to cursed energy and cursed techniques, that they're not just flesh and blood, so you can't just fix your output by RCTing your brain. And Sukuna, still expecting this to be red reversal, he decides he's going to try to have Mahoraga adapt to it completely. But Gojo plays Sukuna here and shoots the red reversal upward instead. And Sukuna, recognizing the familiar scent of bullshit on the air, screams at Mahoraga to get out of the way in a pretty funny looking panel. But Mahoraga has a hearing issue and chases the red reversal up into the sky, only to find Gojo's blue that destroyed Chimera Beast Agito still left behind. And you pretty much know where this is going at this point. Some purples simply have to be hollowed. Sukuna tries to get Mahoraga to intercept the red before it catches up to the blue in the sky, to which Gojo responds by fighting off Mahoraga, and Sukuna attempts a piercing blood or piercing water on the blue, but it does nothing, due to Gojo calmly chanting and increasing the power of his blue temporarily, which is so strange, but I also love it. Gojo really is Jujutsu Dumbledore. The red and blue collide together to create the imaginary mass or virtual mass, and we see Yuta sit back down in his chair and tell Kusakabe he's sorry because if he went out there and interfered, Gojo wouldn't have been able to pull this off. We then see the hollow technique purple. It evaporates Mahoraga. We see the wheel get dusted. Sukuna walks out looking an awful lot like Kenjaku after he took the Yuki black hole. And then we see Gojo. He also got hit by purple somehow. I guess his infinity wasn't enough. But he heals himself, and Kusakabe says that Sukuna is no longer able to use a rapid healing or domain amplification, and therefore the battle of the strongest is over. And also, we should note we are now in the Dusty Anime Pit, and you know the one I'm talking about. Gege Akatame throwing the animators a bone so they can have the end of the fight be easy to draw. So I really like this chapter. A lot of people are asking, will Megumi have Mahoraga if it just got annihilated? Maybe not Mahoraga itself, but the totality of Mahoraga has never really been talked about, and I wouldn't be surprised if that passed down to Megumi. Because there is very likely far more to 10 Shadows, and we got hints at that with Mahoraga using Dismantle last chapter. And Mahoraga with Sukuna, it never really stood a chance the moment that we found out Sukuna can't use his CT and 10 Shadows at the same time. The instant Gojo said, I'm going to use my Hollow Technique purple, and Kusakabe said Sukuna is holding something back, you know that the Shikigami are just going to get evaporated. Truly destined to die. Is the fight actually over here with Gojo and Sukuna? Probably not. Kusakabe says it is, but you know, this is a cliffhanger at the end of the day, so we'll see. Sukuna is still standing. They are staring each other down in the Dusty Anime Pit, and rarely do good things come from the Dusty Anime Pit. And I also like that they state Sukuna is nervous for the first time in 1,000 years. Just like Gojo was nervous for the first time since Toji a few chapters ago, and I think it's kind of interesting that they're both getting flashbacks, because specifying the time frame of this, it kind of sounds like Sukuna has experienced being nervous before. You could definitely interpret this as Sukuna experiencing it for the first time, because we know Sukuna was not always called Sukuna, that's not even his real name, so there's some other person underneath this whole persona. Or at least there used to be, so I'm kind of curious if somebody else traumatized him like Toji traumatized Gojo. And Yuji's been traumatized basically this whole series, so he's got all the points stored up. And we have a 1-week break after these spoilers, so I'm very curious to see where the story actually goes now. If Sukuna's CT was revealed and he didn't have to fight Yuji, I might actually think he was going to die here. And he still might die here in the sense that they're going to bring Megumi back, but Sukuna permanently being gone from the story, it's just not likely to happen. I'm sure a lot of people will point to the idea of Kenjaku popping out, because we haven't seen Kenjaku in like 10 chapters, and the last time we actually saw him was like a 1-panel cameo. I have to say, I miss Kenjaku because the brain has grown on me. I didn't like him that much at first because my personal aesthetic for a villain isn't a brain in a jar. But he's grown on me as time has gone on. I really like his link to cursed energy as a concept in general. And that's why a lot of people's bullshit meters are going through the roof right now. Like, everybody expects something is going to happen next chapter, something unexpected, a plot twist is on the way. We are about to be in the final arc of JJK, so something pretty dramatic is going to happen here, and this just doesn't feel like it's it. A fully capable Gojo going into the end of the story, he should be killing Kenjaku, no diff. But a world where Gojo is going to clear the whole story for all the characters, well, it's probably not going to happen. And we have a 1-week break after 4 chapters in a row, so, I say that's pretty reasonable. And will we ever see Mahoraga again? Well, totalities are not instant, at least they haven't been shown to be. There seems to be a difference between the power of a dead Shikigami passing on to other ones and a Shikigami being combined. There is a whole end of chapter weird rules list for this thing, so totalities are always kind of up in the air. I do want to say, I think for Sukuna, Mahoraga is 100% dead for all purposes against Gojo. Gojo put a lot of effort into killing this thing. I don't think they're just going to have it be retconned like, oh, it was secretly alive the whole time. And Megumi is probably going to be okay. Gojo just used his most damaging ability. I don't see anything else disintegrating a Sukuna beyond this. So whatever Gojo does have left or does use against Sukuna now, I'm guessing that Sukuna is going to be incapacitated, not outright obliterated. And that's assuming we don't enter Jump Kaisen with all the students showing up and Yuta can finally get out of his chair. I also want to note that Kusakabe called Urame a monster last chapter, which is pretty funny. We all know that Urame is strong. They have RCT, they are noted as powerful, they're the right hand of Sukuna, but also they got one shot by Gojo, so it's kind of hard to take them seriously. Obviously, comparing people's feats against Gojo and Sukuna and saying they are anti-feats isn't really reasonable, but also having a panel of your stomach getting punched up into your mouth, just, it's not the best look, and probably not the best feeling either, because this didn't even heal with RCT all the way. Personally, I am really looking forward to the final arc and the end of this fight, just because I really want to get back into the major plot reveals. We got a lot of power reveals this fight, but the actual plot movement, our characters are mostly in the same place. And we've been in Gojo vs Sukuna since like May, and some people are feeling fatigued by this fight, which I understand, even though I think the last 5 chapters have been really good. This is a fun fight to theorize on, but for the most part there aren't too many twists and turns, at least up until now, because I really don't know what happens next. But that's just my opinion, and maybe you have a different one, so let me know in the comments below about what you think of the finale or climax of this fight. And if you like content like this, subscribe for more. And as always, thanks for watching.